Okay, what are we cooking today? So, today we're cooking fideuà. It's a seafood dish that has the following ingredients. It has 150 grams of shrimps, 200 grams of monkfish. This is the tail of a monkfish. And then this is cuttlefish, already cleaned. It's 200 grams of cuttlefish. Then we have 300 grams of noodles. These noodles are really little. We have 100 milliliters of olive oil. Let me go back to the noodles to make sure you guys can see how little these guys are. They are really little. Okay, then we have 4 tomatoes, and then we have a little of fish broth, fish stock that I made myself, so this is something that I'll upload another video on how to make. And then we have 3 garlic cloves. For spices, we're using some paprika, not spicy, and then we're gonna have the salt to basically pour at our taste. Let's get started. We have these 4 tomatoes that we are going to peel. These tomatoes, again, like in the other recipe, it's fall season. They are not the best tomatoes to cook. They are not really ripe. The flavor is not really intense, but we have to play with what we have. They're hard to peel too. I usually boil them, so it's easier to peel, but today there's just 4 tomatoes, so I just felt like I'll just do it myself without boiling. Okay, we have peeled the tomatoes, so now what we're gonna do, we're gonna cut them into pieces and we're gonna put them in a blender. So we're gonna blend this. Tomatoes, blend them up. I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil in here. Let's blend these guys up. Okay, I'm gonna pour it in this bowl. And we have this ready. Now, what do we need here? Next, we have this pan. This is a paella. You can do it in a normal pan. I like doing it here, then I just put this in the oven later, as I will show you. But once we've cut the tomatoes, okay, now we're gonna cut the monkfish. Well, let's start with the cuttlefish. We're gonna cut the cuttlefish into small pieces, as I will show you now. Actually, I want to wash this a little bit. I haven't washed it yet. I just want to wash these folks. Alright, put them a little bit in kitchen paper to remove the water. Just a little bit. Cool. And now we are going to cut the cuttlefish in really small cubes. I like small cubes here, because then when you eat them, they feel cozy in your mouth. You don't have to chew that much. It's a little bit slippery. I just want to do it one by one. Now at the end. Cut them up, and we have the pan with the olive oil running. We're gonna put these guys. Whoa! There we go. All right. Turn this up. So this is gonna release a lot of water. We're gonna cook this a little bit, and then at the same time, I'm gonna put the shrimps. But the shrimps, we'll put them in and remove them. I'm gonna put the monkfish here, save them. So now, what we wanna do with the shrimps is we just want to put them so that the oil gets the flavor and the shrimps get a little bit cooked. But then we're gonna remove them. We wanna remove them because we don't want the shrimps to be overcooked. So we just want to have the shrimps almost ready to be eaten, but not quite yet. So that the oil gets the flavor of the shrimps. I'm gonna put the juices out too. And the oil, we want the oil to get the flavor of the shrimps. And at the same time, we want the shrimps to start getting cooked. So I'm just gonna do side and side, medium heat. So now we have the shrimps and the cuttlefish cooking. Okay. And what's next? We could start putting the garlic here. We should start cutting the garlic. Start cutting the garlic. Oops, piece of cuttlefish. I'm gonna turn the shrimps. This is smelling really good. Okay, I'm gonna bring the fire a little bit up. Okay, so as I was saying, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut the garlic. And we're gonna remove the shrimps from the heat, remove them from the pan, store them so that later we can put them back in. That's the garlic. Last one. Okay, so add the garlic. And now we're gonna remove the shrimps from the fire. And I'll just put them here with the monkfish to rest. Let's get the shrimp. I like using this tool. I use it for a lot of things. Well, I usually would have the tongs here to pick up these guys. But my daughter was playing with them, and I don't know where they are. So, this works. Voila! We got the shrimps. We're gonna store this here. Let's remove them from the monkfish so the monkfish doesn't get cooked in contact with the shrimps. And then, oh boy, this is releasing a lot of water, right? So now what we want to do here is we want to add the garlic. We're gonna add the garlic. Oh boy. I'm gonna remove some pieces of shrimp. Okay, so it's been around 20 minutes that we've been frying the cuttlefish, the garlic, and the tomato. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna add the broth and the noodles. For the broth, I did something. I peeled the shrimps and I put the heads in the broth. So the broth was frozen. Okay, let me put this properly. The broth, oh boy. All right, I'm still getting adjusted to how to position the GoPro. The broth was frozen. So to defrost it, I put it here, and then I also added the shrimp heads to get even more flavor. And now I'm just gonna remove the fish heads. Okay. And then we're gonna put the fish broth into our pan. And when it boils, we're gonna add the noodles. So we put the fish broth. Okay. And now when it starts boiling, we're gonna add the noodles. So we wait until it boils, we put it to medium. And when it boils, we put the noodles, which we are up here waiting. All right, there is something that we didn't do and we need to do now, which is this: cut the monkfish in dices. So I'm gonna cut this piece over here, and I'm just gonna add dices to put in with the noodles and the rest of the broth, the rest of the sauce. Okay, these pieces are really big, so I'm just gonna cut them in half. Cool. So now the broth is starting to boil. This is starting to look pretty yummy. Let's make sure. Let's wait maybe 20 more seconds. And then we're gonna add the shrimps as well as the monkfish with the noodles into the broth. Okay. Let's see, I think now it's starting to boil. Good smell. Okay. Let's put the noodles in. And we're gonna let the noodles, I mean, this depends on the size of the noodle. These ones, it's 8 to 10 minutes. So I'm gonna add them over here. And I'm also gonna add the monkfish and the shrimps. Monkfish and shrimps. I'm gonna put them divided in all the pan. And what I do now is I taste the salt, and I'll add a little bit of salt if needed. So I'm gonna get a spoon. Really good. A little bit of salt won't hurt. So we're gonna leave this for 8 to 10 minutes. And then we're gonna prepare the oven, because at the end we're gonna put this in the oven at 200 Celsius, more or less. We're gonna put this puppy in the oven so that the noodles get crunchy on top. We'll see. I have a feeling this might have too much water, but maybe I messed up the proportions. We shall see. It's gonna be good either way. It's just gonna be more soupy. Okay, now that I put the salt, I'm gonna do one last try. Great. So in 6 minutes, I'll check how is it going. Okay, I wasn't recording, but here's what I did. 6 minutes have passed of the pan cooking here, and then what I did is I had the oven warming up at 200 Celsius degrees, and now we have the fideuà getting finished in the oven. Why do we do this? We do this because what we want is we want the noodles to get kind of roasted, crunchy at the top. That's one of the characteristics of the fideuà, and what makes a good fideuà kind of being differentiated from the non-original Catalan fideuà. So we're gonna wait 5 minutes, and this is gonna be ready to be eaten.